Here we go again. Junichi Masuda has, in a lengthy interview with Eurogamer, once again reaffirmed that Pokemon Let's Go is meant to be a gateway title for young and newcomer Pokemon players. Is this good, or could the difficulty cause Let's Go to be another Nintendo letdown in 2018 before Smash? And more importantly, is Game Freak already leaving more experienced veterans waiting for next year to get inside a real Pokemon Switch title?
Hello everyone and welcome to another Pokemon Let's Go video here on the Commonwealth Run. Today we will get deep into the two sides regarding the most controversial aspect regarding Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, namely the difficulty. So what's the problem? For most players it is tied to the removal of all non-legendary wild Pokemon battles and replacing it with a system that draws a remarkable similarity to Pokemon Go. You know, with berries and Pokemon that jump all around avoiding Pokeballs and where your Pokemon level up even without battling. This is obviously controversial, but not game-breaking as you still have obligatory trainer battles, gym battles, Team Rocket battles, legendary battles, Elite Four and Champion battles, and finally Master Trainer battles, unless Let's Go has a twist or surprise in store.
But what if most of these are easy? We mean so easy that they are literally a cakewalk from Pallet Town to Indigo Plateau and Cerulean Cave. Then we have a problem, because if this will be the case, Pokemon Let's Go will be a boring experience where you press A to win. Now that was a complete exaggeration, but based on demo and preview experiences along with gameplay, there is no doubt that Pokemon Let's Go, at least in its first few hours, will be a very easy experience, which goes quite well in line with the gateway newcomer Pokemon Go and Child approach that Masuda and Game Freak are setting up for this title. We tried to think about how kids these days generally play games. What came to mind was mobile games, really. Games which you play for a short time, and perhaps you'll be moving between various games pretty quickly. So if it was a game that kind of takes about 2 hours to get into, we thought that perhaps people might get a bit bored, and then decide to move on to a different game. So back in the day, even playing in the Virtual Console version of the original Pikachu version, it might take, 30 hours, 40 hours to kind of complete or progress significantly in the game.
Yes, Masuda, the struggle was real and grinding was key in Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow, and facing certain trainers and in particular gyms, while avoiding to battle wild Pokemon, will result in a very slow progression. But aren't you going a little too far to please the mobile games crowd who mostly play games because they are 1, free, and require little to no skill to pick and play? This is the concern that springs up when you try to please both a mobile and console game experience. So does Let's Go have a hard mode? Kind of, as Masuda puts it. With the Pokemon appearing in the field as well, you can choose whether you want to catch the Pokemon or whether you want to avoid them altogether. So we're kind of, bending to the will of the players here, and giving them more options to choose the way to play that's most fun to them.
Not having random encounters is a good change, and adding freedom to the player is great, but why would you make major parts of the game easy for so many players just because they want to complete the Pokédex or simply use the Pokéball Plus as it will be tons of fun? Seriously, we wish Masuda and Nabana were able to answer these questions regarding difficulty concerns more directly, than just pointing to catch combo rewards, benefits, and post-game. Luckily, it appears that in the interview with Eurogamer, Masuda and Nabana were keeping the lid on a major challenge central to the game, namely the 150 Pokemon Master Trainers who only have one Pokemon, but in return, all of these are on a high level and no items are allowed. Pretty much the Pokemon version of Fox vs. Falco, no items, final destination, it's on, bring it. What is remarkable about the 150 Master Trainers is that they have every Pokemon in the Pokédex, and as such are a much greater motivational factor to complete the Pokédex than Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow ever was. So, the difficult portions of Pokemon Let's Go will mostly tie to these Master Trainer encounters. Am I right? Well, not only. because our friend Birdkeeper Toby was approached by representatives of the Pokemon Company in the United Kingdom while playing the first 3 hours of the game, and they heavily emphasized,
"Now in regards to the criticism that it's a very easy game, I can't really comment because I played Pallet Town up to the end of Pewter City, the tutorial section of the game. And given that I've been playing the Pokemon series for over 20 years, yes, it was an easy part of the game for me. But I was assured by the reps who work there at Pokemon Company, they said it without even prompting. They were like, by the way, it gets way harder. I didn't have to say, hey, this is a concern I have. They were just like, oh, this gets harder, by the way. And actually, catching some of the rarer Pokemon was quite difficult. Beedrill popped up on screen and it was zipping around the screen everywhere. Keeping track of it, deciding if I should use a Raspberry or not to prevent it from fleeing. The fact that it even could flee from a Pokemon battle. That added a level of intensity to the battle that I had not experienced before playing Pokemon.
So does this also tie to later Gym Leader, Elite Four, Champion and Legendary Pokemon battles? It is too soon to tell, as the representatives from the UK Pokemon Company could have been referencing or hinting to the Master Trainer encounters in the game. Unfortunately, the Master Trainers are solely tied to the post-game, and will first show up after you have defeated the Elite Four and been crowned as Pokemon League Master. In other terms, the Master Trainers are the new motivational factor to complete the Pokédex and train up all your Pokemon to become big and strong, thus prolonging the longevity of the game exponentially. Personally, we must say that it is a shame that the Master Trainers will not show up until the post-game, as they would have marked for a perfect challenge in what otherwise might be a very easy game. Let us illustrate how it could have been done. Say that you would encounter early on in the game masters with high-level Pokemon that were posed as an optional challenge.
say, just like in the Xenoblade series where you might stumble into level 100 monsters while you are at level 10. It would be a lesson that there are optional portions of the game that are quite ruthless, and that you will return to challenge them later on in the game. With that being said, we completely understand why the Charizard and Venusaur battles in the trailer were at level 75, since this is the fully evolved form of other Pokemon. In other words, it seems that Game Freak is aiming the regular trainer in gym battles at newcomers or children then, and the post-game Master Trainer battles as a challenge to look forward to for veterans and hardcore players. But is this good enough to keep veterans on board to that point? Since if there is no significant difficulty jump in the game to say the Elite Four, then it will be boring for many longtime Pokemon players. Based on previews, we know that we will not face any difficulty spikes in the game until at least after gaining your badges from Brock and Misty. Then a perfect spot for a first difficulty jump would be against Lieutenant Surge, as this was also the first serious gym leader battle that Ash won fair and square in the anime. From here on out, the game should get gradually more difficult when it comes to trainer battles, gym battles, and even the Team Rocket Jesse and James battles, leading up to the showdowns against Giovanni and finally the Elite Four and champion-friendly rival. This would mark for a perfect progression in the game for both new players who get the first few hours to get used to the basics, and then premiere everyone else with a gradual difficulty curve. Though this might not be the case if the gateway approach that Masuda and Nibbana outlined in the Eurogamer interview is to be followed.
In this case, the real difficulty spike would first come after reaching the Elite Four and then facing the Champion Master battles that will then unlock the Master Trainer encounters. That and completing the Pokédex. Though these two are connected, as in order to beat all Master Trainers, you need all Pokémon found in the game. On a different note, Pokémon egg hatching and breeding are not present in the game, which is disappointing seeing that it could have added an extra layer to the game. Unfortunately, since it wasn't in Gen 1 originally, Game Freak excluded this key feature in Pokémon Let's Go, which is very disappointing seeing that they have included Mega Evolutions that were first introduced in Pokémon X and Y in 2013. Summing up the difficulty in Pokémon Let's Go is a concern that needs attention, and has its good reason. In large part, it all comes down to one thing: in what part of the main quest will the game get more difficult? By the third gym leader, the final gym leaders, Elite Four, or even post-game?
We hope for the former rather than the latter, though we can't hide that we are anxious that the difficulty might amputate Pokemon Let's Go and leave it to Smash to save 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. In a large part, we need to see if the changes to the formula and simplifications and inclusions such as Mega Evolution will not only result in the battles becoming too easy, At the end of the day, it is key to add some difficulty surprise, just like the first Pokemon titles did with potions and items, and finally strike a balance when it comes to newcomers and Pokemon goers, along with veterans who can't be bored to death until they get to the post-game or legendary Pokemon battle portions. Oh, and one last thing, Game Freak. Don't let Metapod vs Metapod be the hardest battle in the game.
Maximum hardness, Metapod! Metapod, full power!
Pokemon Let's Go is getting closer and closer, and do not miss our next videos on the game that will come weekly leading up to the launch. Make sure to like this video and do not miss the next topical video on Let's Go next week. Then don't forget to subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm and press that shiny notification bell to not miss any of our Pokemon, Smash and Nintendo Switch videos. Finally, we want to thank all our gracious patrons, and in particular royal producer Kenyatta Ali. We are searching for more new pin-decorated patrons, knights and heroes on patreon.com/commonrealm. Until the next video, this was the Commonwealth Realm, and we will see you girls and guys soon.